Okay, hey ladies and gents, Romie Reviews here. Please like, comment, subscribe. Huh, I already had committed to finishing up this the last two parts of the R. Kelly docu-series, so that's why I'm here, because this is draining. I'm gonna break this up a little bit differently because I just have to do it the best way I know how. So we'll talk about Michelle Kramer. Michelle Kramer is the mother of Dominique Kramer. Well, no, I think she's a different last name. But her daughter's name was Dominique. And essentially, Dominique met R. Kelly when she was 17, and Dominique has essentially been missing ever since. And Michelle was on a mission. And I love the fact that Michelle, spoiler alert, Michelle was one of the people, ladies, who was able to get her daughter back from R. Kelly. And what she did was she saw the Slaughters, which is another family. Their daughter was in LA because, or in Chicago, it was out of town essentially because their daughter was the one who did that infamous TMZ interview where she clearly looking coerced went and said that, oh, she's there at her free will. There's nothing crazy. There's no shenanigans going on, even though we know that's not the truth. Even though we know that is not the truth. And so it's just scary. It's really, really scary because what Michelle had to do was she saw that her daughter, where her daughter was, and what hotel she normally stayed at, or people said that she normally stayed at. So she went there. She went there, and the front desk said that she wasn't there. Now, I didn't know that you could still, in 2018, go and tell the front desk that, oh, my daughter's there. Oh, my son is upstairs. Can you go and, tell them that their mother is, or your father's down here? I didn't know you could still do that and the hotels could legally go and even acknowledge that they were staying there. I thought there was like some confidentiality rule, but I guess if they can verify that you're the parent, that they'll take that chance, but they don't just let you go up. Everything is, monitored, managers. So at least that's all right. And I'm sure people know that the situation's off, so they're willing to take a little bit more of a chance as well. But so that hotel she wasn't staying at, and she really wasn't. Thankfully, she's a God-loving woman, and she realized, let me go and just ask this guy who looks like maybe he's familiar with the hotel and all what's going on in the area. Asked, hey, this is a situation, and he said, try the hotel right across the street. Apparently, it's a sister hotel. She will have had no idea, so she went across the street and she goes and talks to that manager. That manager calls up, and so then what happened was the manager actually took her upstairs to the room and knocked and opened the door. Her daughter was there. Her daughter was there. And now, Dominique, she did look different because Dominique, she had more of a traditional, girl look and feel before being groomed by R. Kelly. She was more so the combative, rough around the edges. I guess did what he said, but still wasn't just a full-on 100% mindless drone, and so he changed her image and look again as a means of control to kind of fit what he thought she looked like, or how she acted, which is more tomboyish, and he really played on that. It's like, again, all of the psychological mess. Geronda goes and talks about how Dominique came into the fray, and it's just throwing me off with the whole hide the identity of one of the previous employers, because I'm thinking, unless they're putting on this fake speech pattern, people are gonna know who you are. Because and I'm not laughing. I'm not, because this isn't funny. I was so stressed because it's like all of this information and facts coming at you in 2 hours, and you're just trying to process it when people who've actually either experienced it because they saw the survivors go through it, have had more time to just process it. It was just like, oh my God, this is so much. Oh, this is so much. This is so much. So Joycelyn Savage was the one who did the TMZ interview, and apparently she was an inspiring singer. She wanted to meet R. Kelly, and her family, they went to an R. Kelly concert or something because they didn't think too much of it. They heard the allegations, but they were the types that was like, innocent until proven guilty. And yes, until proven guilty is correct. But what people forgot is cautious, preventative when someone is charged with something. That's how you're really supposed to move in life. You're not supposed to just move blindly in faith when it comes to regular everyday people. There is a difference. I would, and I think that's the important message, because we're not here to beat up the family. We're not here to beat up the survivors. That's not what this is for. This is to really just put it in people's faces and make them remember that, hey, you have to be cautious and take preventative measures. And a lot of people failed on that part. But they were also going on about how R. Kelly again was still working with prominent people, working with Whitney Houston. I Look to You. That song is good, but now the song was good, but as soon as I originally heard that was R. Kelly, I said, "Dang it!" Even back then, even back then. So now we have this situation where R. Kelly's music isn't moving the way that it used to. But when he went and did that Whitney Houston funeral tribute, it did aid him for a little bit, but still wasn't on the same level as it would have in the past. So now we can get back to Kitty. Kitty was actually a radio producer, and she was in her early 30s, but she looked younger. And again, we know R. Kelly has a type. It's either, in general, slim, you either are young or you look young. And so it's just, ugh. And because of all of that, Kitty, she said that, obviously, just like everyone else, she heard the rumors, but for her, she's saying that she really wasn't familiar with the sex tape, which I'm thinking, okay, this is about R. Kelly and the people that enabled his behavior, and not to go against the victims and survivors, because when you're hearing something, you're thinking, what? But then you have to remember, people live in their own worlds, so you have to give them a little bit of relax, a little bit. So she said that they're in a committed relationship, or she felt that they were in a committed relationship, and she thought that things were different than what it actually was. Essentially, her reality check, she got brought to the house, the grooming process started. She said the same thing that everyone else said. The difference with her is that I believe she's the one that said that she was thrown off because one of her friends, no, she looked at the tape herself. She found the tape, or found images of the tape. She said on Google. I'm thinking, why would child that be on on Google? Oh gosh. But she said the girl in the tape was actually one of the girls that was around him. So that's when she realized, oh, this is real. And I'm thinking, okay. We even see how she was already, emotionally and physically beaten down by him, but he's starting to include her in his tour act, and so she was really happy about that. But he had her sign something, and she didn't look at it. He was just like, you know what, let's go and pretend like you're signing this contract so you can consent to me going and doing these things to you on stage. I'm thinking, don't do it! That you don't know what's on that paper? And that's exactly what she said. And I just, oh Lord. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. So then we get back to Michelle. Michelle, she goes and the manager takes her up to the room. She sees her daughter, and trust me, she didn't force the door to stay open because her daughter was about to close the door, but she did wiggle her way right into that room to try and talk to her daughter. Her daughter said, "Someone else is in the room. You can't stay here." She said, "Okay," and then she wanted to talk to her mom. So because the manager called her back in, said she wanted to talk to her mom, said that she was, scared to come back at 6 p.m. I said, you better come back earlier than 6 p.m. Just like she did. She came back at 5:40, and that's when she said that the manager said, "I'm sorry, your daughter apparently called the police and said that her mother was trespassing and that she needed to be arrested if she wouldn't leave the premises and leave her alone." Now, now, thankfully, she already got a number, and so she was talking to Dominique, and Dominique said, "Mom, I did not do that." And she was like, "I believe you. I'm here. We're getting you out of here." So Michelle, what she did was she snuck back in. She was waiting in the bathroom stall. Her daughter eventually came, and it was like all she had was some flip flops, a t shirt, and some shorts, and a book bag. And Michelle said, "Perfect, let's go." And snuck her out, got her in the car, and drove away. When I tell you, I was so happy because I said, victory comes in the morning. Victory normally comes in the morning, but that day, victory came in the afternoon slash evening because it looks like they went to Target, got her some new clothes, and they took a plane ride, got out of town. And I was so happy for Miss Michelle. I was so happy for her. I was so happy because I said, I know that's right. I know that's right. Ow, that hurt. I know that's right. I know that's right. I know it. I was so happy for her. I was like, we got victory. Now, going to another family, the family of Azriel Clary. She met R. Kelly at 17. Essentially, Azriel, she I won't call her an aspiring singer because she was doing it professionally, maybe on a small level, but she was still doing it professionally already before she met R. Kelly. And it really was one of her main passions. And her parents took her to an R. Kelly concert, and they thought that they heard stuff, but they were there. They were going to watch their daughter. They weren't just going to have their daughter go off willy-nilly. So apparently, there was a situation where the daughter went without their consent and went to this hotel and met with R. Kelly behind her parents' back, which caused the parents to freak out, as it should have. And so then they got their daughter, and one of the things was that their daughter was pissed. They're pissed because she said she was embarrassed. They said they didn't care. That's not what mattered to them. What was mattered was getting their daughter. So they got her, and then they called him on the phone and told him that's never happening ever again. He said he was interested in having her become an artist of his, and so then they said, okay, that will only work if it's supervised. But I'm jumping ahead a little bit because they had their older daughter go and stay with their younger daughter in Chicago because they were going to the studio, and this is when things were weird because the younger daughter was already saying that, oh, we can't go out, we can't do this, we can't do that, to the older sister. And the older sister's looking at her like, what? I'm grown. Who is telling us we can't go to eat? We're hungry. This makes no sense. And it's just scary. She was already groomed to that level. That's just really scary that she was already groomed to that level. And what ended up happening is the older daughter went to go and get some food, came back, her sister was gone. Her sister was gone, and so then she was freaking out, as she should have. She was making a lot of ruckus, banging on doors, trying to find her sister, until they were like, and then she went to another studio. She was there, but they told her, here's how this works. You need to go. She said, oh no, that's not how that works. She called the cops, as she should have. I said, okay, this story sounds good so far. It sounds good so far. We're getting progress. But then his security manhandled her, threw her butt right out in some alley, and allegedly from, no, this is from her mouth. From her mouth, she told us that they would harm her family and her sister if she said anything about it. Oh, draining, just draining, just draining, just draining. But we do hear that Azriel, was it Azriel or Ariel? Hold on. The parents were nervous, so they decided um, to come down, but everyone downplayed the situation, including the older sister. So the parents thought, okay. Even though at this point I would have been like, oh no, this is over. But unfortunately, Azriel was already mentally manipulated, and no one realized it yet, except for the older sister, who had an inkling that just things weren't right or weren't adding up. And so, come on, focus. Now we see when R. Kelly did that Huffington Post live interview, and he got up and left because the interviewer, she was asking him the questions that we wanted to hear. What's going on? Why are you doing this? Hey, hello, hello. He didn't want to answer that. Of course, why would he want to answer that? Because that would go and acknowledge that he has some wrongdoing. And Mr. Perfect? Oh no. Mr. Non-accountable? No, no, no. She wasn't backing off. Apparently, he was really upset about that interview, as he should have been. Um, and then, so with Azriel, she was still a junior in high school, turning to her senior year, and R. Kelly wanted to take her out on the road on his tour with her, and the parents said she can't go unsupervised. He said, fine, he'll pay someone from the record label to go and essentially watch her, to go and be her guardian, legal guardian on the road. And I'm thinking, really? Really? And they did it partially because their daughter freaked out. She freaked out so bad that they were like, all right, we'll take this chance. She's been having a rough time already. She's already saying she's not gonna have this opportunity again. Her career, her life, all of that. You know, the usual teenage, oh, I hate you guys, I hate you guys. Now we talk to a super fan, an R. Kelly super fan. Again, she's also an older woman. Asante, she loved and adored R. Kelly. She was the type of person that would go and tell people, hey, you can't do that. You can't say that about him. And I'm thinking, oh Lord. So then he met up with her. She had her own little thing going on, and ladies were telling us how this is how it worked with him. He normally liked the younger because of the control factor, but it was mainly the state of mind. If you came off as weak or timid, or someone he could manipulate, then of course he would be happy to have you around. That was his main MO. And unfortunately for her, she originally didn't look like she was that, but then we saw that she was. Now, his house in Atlanta was foreclosed on, and they took her back to the house, and she showed them around, because we were apparently, she's all of them are confirming that, yeah, there were pee buckets, yeah, there were she was saying how in order to get his attention, in order to be allowed out of the room, she had to go and stomp on the floor, and sometimes it would be for hours before he or someone else would come and get them. And apparently he rotated the women, and he would pick and choose who he would go and sleep with at night. And there was this black room where he essentially did all of these, perverted things, and it was, oh, he always groomed the women to, interact with each other sexually and all this. Uh, uh, yeah. So now let's talk about the Mute R. Kelly movement. The Mute R. Kelly movement, oh, amazing, first off. Big ups to that. Secondly, it started off slow. It started off slow. There was a lot of resistance. His concerts weren't being canceled. People were actually mocking the protesters. They were saying protesting doesn't matter. They were saying that, oh, you're just hating on him. Why are you believing him? The accusers over him. But this is what happens when people are willing to stand up. When you have Joanda, who broke her NDA and exposed R. Kelly. When you have Wendy Williams talk about the Mute R. Kelly movement. When you have people in the corners of the black media society going and supporting. When you have, even for example, who was it? When you have an accuser saying that R. Kelly, she's pressing criminal charges against him because she got an STD from him. Now that is something, unfortunately, we can work with legally. She was also a fan of R. Kelly's. She flew out to, they met at a concert, and she went and had a sexual encounter with him, even though she didn't really want to do it, but she did because in her mind, it's like, this is R. Kelly. And again, that's the whole thing of abuse of power. So it unfortunately fit perfectly with the Me Too movement. And so once we got there, she said that it was getting weird because he came by, they did it again, and then the next morning he said, come downstairs. And that's when she realized, oh, I need to get away from this. She saw the Slaughter's daughter, I believe Joycelyn. She saw her downstairs jump up on R. Kelly, kissing him, and just acting like a mindless whatever. And she realized, oh, so this is real. So this wasn't just, people saying stuff to say stuff. And so that's when she decided she's gonna moonwalk out of this situation before it gets any worse. And she called the Slaughter family, or the Slayer family, and told them about her encounter and also about their daughter, because they haven't heard anything about their daughter. This whole thing is just so draining, and I'm not even the one physically affected. I am physically affected. I don't feel good. Okay, Nadeska, who's a part of Complex and also Everyday Struggle, when she talked to Vince Stapleton. And I remember that when he was like, R. Kelly's nasty. Why is he still here? Why are people still making excuses for him? And again, that was the momentum train when there was more and more people being open to say that they, weren't supporting R. Kelly, and this is why. For some reason, that Chance the Rapper interview I never saw until today or yesterday or whatnot, about him saying he said that he worked with R. Kelly because he didn't value, at the time, what the women were saying because they were black women. And of course he did apologize for it. He did acknowledge that he was ignorant. It was very ignorant for him to say that and even think that. But yeah, that's wild. But you know what? There's a lot of people who felt the same way that Chance felt. Let's just we need to call a thing in this situation. Tom Joyner pulling R. Kelly's music from the radio station, Again, because Tom Joyner is a huge marketing platform for someone like R. Kelly. That's his core now, not hearing his content. Wendy saying that she had to sit down with R. Kelly, and R. Kelly saying that he liked young petite girls. It wasn't that they were underage. I said, oh, okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. And one of the main last things is Azriel's family got a tip from Dominique that Azriel would be in the Chicago studio. And they did go there. They saw someone at the window. They're not sure if it was their daughter, but for the wellness check to work, they would need either a court appointed um, document saying that they could enter the premises or someone willingly open up the door. They had not either, so they weren't able to go and do much of anything there. So all in all, R. Kelly is ugh, ugh, ugh. Big ups to the survivors and the women who hopefully one day can get out of this. But let's be very clear. When you do something like this, your time will come. We don't know how, we don't know when, but it will. That's why you must do right, or at the very least you must do better, because time's up is real, and I'm not talking about that organization. I'm talking about reality and life just in general, and everyone has their day. Please like, comment, subscribe. I do other videos. Thanks.